My name is Ned Land. I've been a sailor on whaling vessels across the high seas for some time, and quite a man with a harpoon, if I may boast a little. As you can imagine, life on a whaling vessel is always full of lots of excitement and adventure. I want to tell you a story of the most exciting trip I ever took. This is a story about the time I sailed not on top of the sea, but 20,000 leagues under the sea.
Got a whale of a tale to tell you, lads, a whale of a tale or two, about the flapping fish and the girls I've loved, on nights like this with the moon above. A whale of a tale and it's all true, I swear by my tattoo. There was Mermaid Minnie, met her down in Madagascar. She would kiss me anytime that I would ask her. Then one evening her flame of love blew out, blow me down and pick me up. She swapped me for a trout. Got a whale of a tale to tell you, lads, a whale of a tale or two, about the flapping fish and the girls I've loved, on nights like this with the moon above. A whale of a tale and it's all true, I swear by my tattoo. There was Typhoon Tessie, met her on the coast of Java. When we kissed, I bubbled up like molten lava. Then she gave me the scare of my young life, blow me down and pick me up. She was the captain's wife. Got a whale of a tale to tell you, lads, a whale of a tale or two, about the flapping fish and the girls I've loved, on nights like this with the moon above. A whale of a tale and it's all true, I swear by my tattoo. There was Harpoon Hannah, had a look that spelled out danger. My heart quivered when she whispered, "Hi there, stranger." Bought her trinkets that sailors can't afford. When I spent my last red cent, she tossed me overboard. Got a whale of a tale to tell you, lads, a whale of a tale or two, about the flapping fish and the girls I've loved, on nights like this with the moon above. A whale of a tale and it's all true, I swear by my tattoo.
It all started many years ago, long before there were airplanes in the sky. Down in the harbor of San Francisco stood a three-masted schooner of the United States government. She was the Abraham Lincoln, one of the proudest ships of the U.S. Navy, ready to take me and two other special passengers to the South Seas. We were in search of a mysterious sea monster which had been sinking many ships and making the sea a dangerous course to chart. My job, to harpoon the monster so the seas would be safe once again for travel to distant lands.
Heave ho! Hoist the mainsail! Clear the forward line! All secure for sea!
The crew raised the anchor, the wind caught our sails, and off we moved into the Pacific in search of an unknown enemy. I noticed the two other special passengers and walked over to meet them. Oh, I'm Ned Land.
I am Professor Ernax, and this is my nephew, Conseil.
I'm glad to know both of you.
Uncle is a scientist. He wants to find the monster.
Yeah, so do I. What do you think it is, Professor?
Well, some say it is a giant whale. Others say it is a giant animal that flies up out of the water to attack its prey. And I have my own ideas.
And if we meet this monster, Professor, what'll you do?
Well, I am a scientist. I will study the monster and prepare reports so that the world will know of this new creature. Besides getting valuable scientific information, I can do my part to help stop all of the false rumors that have been frightening people.
And you, Conseil?
Me? Oh, I'm not afraid of any old monster.
The first few weeks passed quietly. We headed south, and excitement ran high. Every man aboard was on the lookout, and a watch was kept day and night. During the first month, the schedule was to steam in circles, crossing and recrossing our course. There was no sign of our quarry. The Navy plan was to cut the South Pacific into squares and search each square.
Ahoy to deck! There's an object dead ahead!
The object turned out to be a small whale, which was very usual in this area. False alarms were common, and they didn't help our morale. For endless days and nights, we searched the South Pacific. Our hopes began to dim. The crew went about their normal duties, but I could see in their eyes that they were becoming nervous about this unknown creature. To help them pass the time and feel a little more relaxed, they would sit around the deck and tell stories about the sea. Conseil and I would often sit with them. He enjoyed hearing their adventures in far-off lands. Little did he know at that time that he was about to become part of an adventure much greater than the stories he had heard. And then one evening, the wind began to suddenly blow harder and harder. We ran into a tropical hurricane. The ship began rolling and bouncing like a cork in the water. The mizzenmast broke in two.
Abandon ship.
We're sinking!
Abandon ship.
Quick, Conseil! Professor, into this lifeboat!
All right, Ned.
You're secure!
All right, here we go. We'll have to row fast, clear the ship before she goes under, or else she'll pull us down with her.
We are clear!
We began looking for fellow survivors, but found none. The rest of the crew either went down with the ship or escaped in some other direction. Well, I guess it's the three of us in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I just hope we don't meet that monster now. For 2 days, we drifted in the South Seas. The hurricane had blown itself out. This was followed by a terrible calm around us. The sea was quiet and beautiful, but we were all more concerned with being rescued.
Ned, what are we going to do? I'm sure hungry.
Well, mate, about the only thing we can do is keep rowing and hope we sight something.
If only the lifeboat supplies had not been lost in the escape.
It sure gets hot out here.
Yeah, you got to remember you're in the South Seas. Out here, it's hot 1 minute, and the next minute could bring a tropical storm.
Look! What's that over there?
I don't know, but we'll soon find out. Conseil had noticed a strange-looking object way off on the horizon. We started for it right away. Maybe this was our chance for rescue. At first, we thought it was an island, but as we got closer, we knew that it was anything but an island.
Uncle, look! It must be the monster!
We, Conseil, I think you are right.
What we had found was not a giant monster whale or some huge flying fish, but what appeared to be some sort of a man-made submarine. Something never seen in this time. It was about 200 feet long and was made of iron plates held together by rivets. We approached cautiously. The ship seemed deserted, and the professor was very anxious to investigate.
Ahoy there! Ahoy there!
There doesn't seem to be anyone around.
I must go aboard and see this wonderful machine. This is something that man has always dreamed of in order to explore the mysteries of the deep. A submarine.
We tied the lifeboat to the side of the ship and carefully started walking along the top of this unknown vessel. Through one of the portholes, we could see all kinds of instruments, dials, levers, and other controls. Finally, we came to an open hatch. Hello! Hello, anyone down there?
We must go below and see what this ship is like.
Uncle, don't you think it would be better if we waited to see if someone comes up first?
That's all right, Conseil. Besides, since it is a ship that is able to go underwater, it could do so any moment.
Well, I suppose you're right.
Conseil and I followed Professor Aronnax down the hatchway, which was a long, winding stairway. This stairway led to a balcony overlooking what was probably the control room. Here we saw more dials and instruments, plus lights that kept blinking on and off like signals. We walked slowly through the passageway, which led into one of the most luxurious rooms I had ever imagined. This main room had deep, rich carpets, shelves of books, beautiful paintings, a fountain spurting water in the middle of the room, and at the other end, a huge pipe organ. It was a sight like I had never seen.
Ah, this is beautiful. I wonder what sort of men were able to make a ship like this.
Uncle, Ned, look over here at this big window. There are the people.
The professor and I rushed over to this large window to see Conseil's discovery. The window looked out onto the ocean floor, and we could see a procession of strangely dressed creatures in underwater diving suits walking in line and carrying something. They stopped and set what they were carrying on the ocean floor, and each man placed a piece of coral near the object. The leader folded his hands as if in prayer.
Why, they are conducting an underwater burial. One of their men must have died, and now they are setting him in his final resting place in the sea. They must have a community of people who live on this ship under the sea. The man who invented all these things must be a genius.
What was that? Oh, look, it's a seal, and he even has a collar on. Hello, fella.
He must be the pet of the captain. The three of us became so fascinated with this strange ship that we completely forgot about the unknown people outside. Conseil was making friends with a pet seal. Professor Aronnax became fascinated with the captain's wonderful book collection and accounts of sea life, and I was busy inspecting instruments on this unusual sailing vessel. Soon, our unknown hosts had returned. The captain discovered us all in the main room.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Nautilus. You are the guests of Captain Nemo.
Well, thank you. You see, we were adrift inside your vessel.
It is a pleasure to meet you, Captain. Allow me to introduce myself and my friends. I am Professor Aronnax. This is my nephew, Conseil, and this is Monsieur Ned Land.
Gentlemen, from now on the Nautilus is your home. You may never set foot on shore.
Never again set foot on shore?
But how will we live?
The undersea world supplies us with everything.
Well, I'm hungry. Can I have a steak and vegetables?
Of course. It won't be steak and vegetables, but I'll arrange a meal for you from under the sea. Things that you have never eaten before. Some of which will taste just like steak and vegetables.
Nevertheless, Captain, we can't stay here forever.
You will have to, Mr. Land. If I let you go, you may tell others the secret of this great submarine. Come, let me show you the rest of this ship.
Captain Nemo took us into the engine room. He showed us the controls that make the ship go up and down. And then he took us into another room and pressed a button.
Look, the walls are moving back. It's another big window.
What a magnificent view. Sponges, coral, those fish swimming by. I have never before seen such beautiful creatures.
The view will be even more interesting when we go down deeper. Gentlemen, I believe your meal is ready to be served in the main room.
The captain escorted us back to the main room where the dining table was filled with food. Most of it looked just like the food we ate at home, but we were soon to find this wasn't true.
Oh, this food is delicious, Captain. May I ask you how you are able to have such fine food?
These dishes come entirely from my ocean kitchen. There is nothing here of the earth.
This sure tastes like steak and vegetables to me.
The vegetables we get from our own undersea farm. We grow various kinds of seaweed, which my cook fixes up to taste like carrots and cabbage.
Amazing. And the steak?
Brisket of starfish, Professor. Seasoned to taste exactly like sirloin.
Well, what about this? It sure tastes like veal.
Actually, Mr. Land, you are eating fillet of sea snake.
And my dish is not lamb?
No, Professor. You are eating brisket of blowfish with sea squirt dressing basted in barnacles. The delicious fruits you see are really preserves made of sea cucumbers.
Well, I must say, Captain, they are very delicious.
Oh, look, there's the seal again. Hello, fella.
He seems to have taken a liking to you. His name is Snoopy.
Hi, Snoopy.
I think he wants to entertain you. Snoopy, catch!
Uncle, look how he caught the ball on his nose. If you'll excuse me, Captain, I'd like to play catch with Snoopy.
Of course.
Come on, Snoopy.
I must say, Captain, that every minute seems to bring about more remarkable things on your ship.
We're setting course now for our undersea farm in order to take on more supplies. If you care to join us in our expedition on the ocean floor, I'm sure you'll also find that very interesting. Professor, Ned, would you care for an after-dinner cigar?
Oui, merci. These have a very unusual taste.
You are smoking another product of our undersea farm. These cigars are made from seaweed.
Well, they sure taste like the real thing.
Oh, boy, Snoopy has worn me out. He sure likes to play. Don't you, Snoopy?
He's been a very good friend to me. Snoopy has been aboard since we first set sail. He seems very happy to have a young companion.
What's that funny noise, Captain Nemo?
The vibro pumps. We're taking on air, getting ready to descend under the sea.
You have yet to tell me what makes this vessel go, Captain.
The same power from which the sun itself derives its energy.
But how? I've never heard of such power.
It is my secret. Excuse me, Professor. Attention, all hands. Check the watertight doors. Fill all ballast tanks. Get ready to descend.
Down we went. We rushed to a porthole to watch this wonderful thing, and the sights we saw were really amazing. Sights that few men had seen. In fact, we were probably the first people in the whole world to see such things besides the crew of the Nautilus. Fish of every description went swimming by. Their colors were such that they defy description. Very bright and beautiful. Every color of the rainbow, yellow, orange, blue, red. This was truly a tropical paradise.
Look at the big turtle. And there's some more. I've never seen such big ones before. Snoopy, look!
Soon the ship came to rest on the ocean floor. Before us, we saw a coral forest and plants of every description reaching for the sky. Shafts of sunlight from above brought a strange sort of light to the entire surroundings of this gigantic forest. Fish darted by in shimmering schools.
Look how peaceful it is here. The sea is everything. Its breath is pure and healthy, an immense reservoir of nature where I roam at will through its vast underwater forests, across its prairies, deeper, always deeper into never-ending space. And now the hunting expedition. Follow me.
Captain Nemo gave each of us a diving suit. One by one, we were gently shot out of the ship through a diving tube and found ourselves standing on the ocean floor. We could see the crew of the Nautilus going about their work with axes, hoes, pikes, and floating baskets to carry the food back to the ship. What we saw was a complete farm, and the crewmen, as farmers, were tilling the undersea soil.
Professor Aronnax, I'll take you to our undersea farm. We can choose tomorrow's dinner.
Good. Conseil, are you coming with me?
I see an old sunken pirate ship, Uncle. I'd rather explore that.
I'll go with him, Professor.
Excellent. Stick close to Ned, Conseil. We will meet again later aboard the Nautilus.
We half walked, half floated along the bottom of the sea. Thousands of darting fish were on all sides of us. Giant underwater plants seemed to breathe in the ocean. And then before us stood the sunken pirate ship. It was embedded in the sand, and we could see a big hole in her side. All kinds of fish were racing in and out of the rotted timbers, swirling in dizzy formations around the stumps of the masts, into open cabin doors, and around the old rusty anchor.
Here, Ned, we can squeeze through this porthole.
There. We're inside. We started walking down a passage, and as we touched some of the old wood from the ship, it would fall loose and start floating toward the surface. The ship had been here so long that the wood actually crumbled in our hands because of age. We could see the galley where the crew took their meals and the charting house with some of the old rusty instruments still there. From looking at the instruments, I guessed that the ship had probably been at the bottom of the ocean for 20 years or more. We came to a door which crumbled as we touched it. We went into the room. This was probably the captain's cabin.
Look, Ned, a treasure chest. I'll bet it's full of gold and diamonds. We'll be rich.
Conseil and I opened the chest and were amazed at what we saw. There before us were golden doubloons, pieces of 8, and a beautiful crown set with pearls. Just then I looked up. Stop! Conseil, stop!
What is it, Ned?
Over there, coming at us, a giant sea spider. Conseil and I stood there frozen, not knowing what to do. I looked around, quickly trying to find something with which to protect us. But there was nothing that wouldn't just crumble in my hands. The underwater creature came closer and closer. And then, all of a sudden, something came from another direction. It was Snoopy the seal. He swam straight for the sea spider and drove it away just in time.
Phew. Thanks a million, Snoopy. You saved our lives.
Well, let's forget the treasure, Conseil, and get back to the Nautilus. Maybe it was the scare in the old pirate ship. But when I was back inside the Nautilus, I wanted to go home. Conseil felt the same way. In fact, one day I walked in when he was talking to Snoopy.
Gee, Snoopy, you sure are a good friend. But you know what? I'm getting homesick. I don't like the idea of staying here the rest of my life. Sure, I know you like it here, but it's different for you. The sea is your home. This is where you belong. But just the same, if I ever do get a chance to leave, I'd sure like to take you with me. Would you like that?
Hey, what kind of talk is this I'm hearing?
Oh, hello, Ned. I guess I'm just getting a little homesick.
Yes, I know what you mean. I never thought that a seaman like myself would ever wish to be home on dry land.
You won't get your wish.
Captain Nemo.
I don't trust you, Ned Land. I think you'll try to escape.
You can't keep us here all forever.
I can and will. I have a secret to protect. Tomorrow I'm going to surface near a tropical island. To make sure you won't escape, all of you will be locked in your cabin.
The next morning, Captain Nemo marched the professor, Conseil, and myself into a small cabin and locked the door. We have to think of some plan to escape from this ship. I know it's a remarkable thing, but just the same, we can't spend the rest of our lives here. Now, the next time I get a chance, I'm going to look at Captain Nemo's charts and see where we are actually located. And then I'm going to send out messages for help.
You mean in Port Else? Ned, these are not the days of Robinson Crusoe. This is the 19th century.
I know it sounds pretty hopeless, Professor, but at least it's something.
Look, Uncle, and Ned, through this porthole.
A tropical island. And Nemo's men are rowing ashore.
What island is that?
From the trees and the vegetation, it would seem to be one of the islands near New Guinea.
I thought the captain never went ashore, Uncle.
Never ashore to civilization, Conseil. But this island is wild. And if there are people on it, they are probably cannibals.
Well, cannibals or not, I wish I were ashore.
The men are ashore now, and seem to be gathering things along the beach. Sacre bleu!
What is it, Uncle?
They are being chased by cannibals!
Captain Nemo and his men swiftly headed back to the ship with the cannibals in fast pursuit. As soon as they arrived on board, we could hear them securing all the top hatches. Soon, the cannibals were climbing on the top of the ship and trying to figure a way to get in.
Do you think Captain Nemo will take the ship under now, Uncle?
I do not know, Conseil. What is that strange noise?
Look at the cannibals. They're all jumping up and down on top of the ship, as if the metal was too hot to stand on. It looks like they're doing some kind of a crazy dance. Now they're all jumping in the water and swimming away as fast as they can, and they're getting in their boats. Boy, are they ever heading back to their island in a hurry. I wonder what could have caused all that.
A genius.
What?
This man is really a genius. The reason you saw those men jumping around like that is because Captain Nemo has the hull of the Nautilus wired for electricity to keep off unwelcome visitors. All he has to do is flick a switch, and a harmless amount of current will go all through the outside of the ship.
Once the ship was underway again, Captain Nemo let us out of our cabin. So at least we were once more free to roam around the ship and not confined to quarters. This gave me an opportunity to look at his charts. I enlisted the help of my young companion, Conseil, and the two of us went into Captain Nemo's private chart room at a time when he was busy with some minor ship repairs. I think I found something. Quick, see if we can find a pencil.
Here's one. Oh, hello, Snoopy. Shh, be quiet.
Try and keep that seal quiet.
Snoopy, now stop making so much noise. Hurry, Ned, I can't keep him quiet.
I just about have it. I know. Maybe he likes cigars. I remember the captain saying they were made out of seaweed. Now try anything.
Snoopy, quiet. Oh, now he wants to play. Look, you're a very talented animal, but this is not the time. Here, try a cigar. Ned, he likes them.
Good. Keep him busy with eating. I'm just about finished.
Hurry, Ned. I'm almost out of cigars. Snoopy, please, eat more slowly. Ned, I'm out of cigars.
That's okay. I have what I need. Let's go. We better leave Snoopy here so Nemo won't wonder what happened to the cigars. Just as soon as I got back to my cabin, I made a lot of messages, put them in bottles, went topside, and threw them into the sea when no one was looking. It seemed like a pretty hopeless attempt, but at this point we were desperate. The next week passed by calmly. The professor spent a great deal of time with Captain Nemo discussing science and the sea. The professor was very pleased by all that he was learning. Captain Nemo even showed him more of the ship. The two scientists had a great deal of respect for each other. Conseil spent a lot of time teaching Snoopy new tricks, and at the end of the week called me in for a grand performance. I still hope that maybe just by chance some ship may discover one of the bottles. Suddenly one day we encountered a tropical hurricane as forceful as the one which sunk the Abraham Lincoln. Immediately the Nautilus dove deep into the ocean. The hurricane didn't seem to bother her at all below the sea. It was amazing to think that above us was a terrible storm, but here we were below the surface in the quiet and peace of life under the sea. And all of a sudden, there was this terrible crash. Apparently, the steering rudder had been slightly damaged by the force of the hurricane, and we were unable to clear a large cluster of rocks. One of the seams of the ship was slightly ripped, and water began pouring in.
Set the emergency pumps.
Captain, is there anything I can do to help?
Yes. Help those men secure that watertight door so that the water won't escape into the rest of the ship.
All right, men. Heave! Heave! We were finally able to secure the door when suddenly there was another crash, and the lights and power went off. Immediately, the emergency reserve supply furnished some light, but the new damage had to be taken care of right away, or we would all perish under the sea.
How much water in the power compartment?
5 feet and rising, sir.
We can't breathe these fumes. I must have power.
The shaft jammed solid, sir.
Clear it then. I can't work a dead ship. Get the spare shaft. Unlimber the hoist. Take up the slack.
Aye, aye, sir. Soon the new shaft was in place, and once again we were able to use our regular power. As soon as everything was shipshape aboard and the crew put on their diving suits and immediately set to work preparing the steering rudder. In no time, the Nautilus was underway and sailing smoothly. I could see that Captain Nemo had trained his men well for such an emergency. The men worked as a team. Each man knew his job and knew it well. When it came time for action, they were right there.
The air will clear now that the fans are operating. Are you all right?
Much better. Thank you.
Have we stopped sinking?
Yes, and just in time, too. We are deeper than man has ever gone before, and there's something out there that might interest you, Professor. Here, look through the view window.
What are they?
I do not know. Most of them are strange and new creatures to me. Creatures of the darkest and deepest part of the ocean.
We all looked out the view window and saw some of the strangest-looking fish in the world. Some had giant humps on their backs, and others were long and skinny. We even saw a lanternfish, which would light up as it went along its way. There were other fish that had their own light. Some were stripped with a gold color that would shine in the dark, and others would flicker on and off. Here was a really strange world.
Emergency speed. All engines.
Captain Nemo had spotted a giant squid which was heading toward us with its tentacles outstretched. Quickly, the Nautilus tried to outrun it, but it was too late. The squid had secured its long tentacles around half the ship, and right away we began to rock. Quickly, Nemo ran for the electrical charge which had worked so well against the cannibals. He pulled the switch, and the squid let loose for a minute, but he came right back again. Once more, Nemo flicked the switch.
The electrical current has burned out from the first charge. We'll have to fight the squid on the surface. Call all hands.
prepare to surface.
All hands prepare to surface! All hands prepare to surface!
Have the men gather in the chart room.
Aye, aye, sir.
Professor, you conceal and Ned stay below decks. We'll take care of this.
Uncle, Ned, look at the size of that animal. His tentacles almost covered the whole ship. Look how they reach out and grab a hold. Oh, I don't think we'll ever get out of this alive.
Don't worry, Conceal. Captain Nemo knows what to do.
Now, men, you'll be fighting the squid at close quarters. Man against beast. Stay clear of the tentacles. They'll seize anything within reach. The only spot to get him is right between the eyes. Now stand by the main hatch.
Nemo and his men raced to the forward hatch. Captain Nemo led the way with his men right behind him. They all got above decks and faced the rage of the cruel squid. Quickly, the captain looked over the situation and took a harpoon from one of the crew members. He carefully walked up the deck toward the squid. At one point, he was almost caught by one of the tentacles, but he ducked just in time. Finally, he was able to sneak in close so that he could get a good shot. But he missed the important spot between the eyes. This only made the squid all the angrier, and he knocked 2 men into the water with one of his tentacles.
Quick, pass me another harpoon.
Once again, Nemo tried to harpoon the squid, but all of a sudden a huge tentacle wrapped around him, and he was unable to move. Captain Nemo's men plunged into the tentacles to try and rescue their skipper, but they were unable to get near him. Captain Nemo's first mate finally got near enough to try and chop the tentacle away, but soon he was knocked into the water. Captain Nemo was struggling to hold onto a deck plate, but he was being dragged closer and closer toward the squid's menacing beak. Finally, despite Captain Nemo's order to stay below, and the fact that he was my captor, I rushed out onto the main deck. I can't stand to see a man die when I know that I'm able to save him. Hey, you there! Let me have your harpoon. One of the men threw me his harpoon. I took careful aim. And a direct hit! Right away, the giant squid let go of the ship, but not Captain Nemo. And the two went under the water. The only thing left to do was to dive in and save him. I was able to reach the captain and set him free from the dead squid. All right, one of you men, get a line to us. The crew managed to get us aboard, and soon we were in the warmth of the main room, enjoying a nice hot meal.
Gee, Ned, that sure was a terrific shot you made with that harpoon.
Well, I'm not the best harpoonist on the high seas for nothing, you know.
Well, gentlemen, I'm happy to report that all the members of the crew have been saved. And, Ned, I want to especially thank you for saving my life. The least I can do is let you all return to your homes. Take one of my small boats. I'll give you plenty of supplies, plus a compass, and soon you'll be back in civilization.
Captain, come with us. Share your secret with the world.
This is my home, Professor. The sea and the world beneath it.
Captain Nemo,
Yes, my son?
I've become awfully fond of Snoopy, and...
Take him, son, to remember me by.
Oh, thank you, sir. Snoopy, you're going with us.
Mon Captain Nemo, I must say that it has been a pleasure and a most enlightening experience knowing you. I don't know how to thank you for letting me see some of the wonderful mysteries of the deep.
The pleasure has also been mine, Professor.
Goodbye, Captain Nemo, and thank you. The three of us set sail in our small craft in a direction set by Captain Nemo. We soon discovered that setting a direction wasn't necessary.
Uncle, look!
Well, Professor, I guess my Robinson Crusoe idea of setting bottles adrift in the ocean worked after all. Here comes the search craft now. And so ends my story of one of the most exciting adventures ever. The story of Captain Nemo and the Nautilus, the man who paved the way for future generations to discover the mysteries of the sea.